Moved by Councilman Gerstein, seconded by Councilman Thielman to allow Councilman Bella to abstain from voting on the meeting minutes of May 8th, 2023. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Bell.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kosky.
Yes.
Saloto.
Yes.
Thielman.
Yes.
I'll vote yes as well.
Oh, I'm sorry. Vaughn.
Yes. Approval of council minutes.
I'll make a motion, we approve the council minutes from May 8, 2023.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerhardstein, seconded by Councilman Thielman that the council meeting minutes of May 8th, 2023 be approved as presented. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Bell.
Abstain.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kosky.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Saloto.
Yes.
Thielman.
Yes.
Reports and communications from the mayor, safety director.
Thank you, Council President. I have a few things to add. Good evening, everyone. So on tonight's agenda, Resolution 2023-08. This resolution was created to honor the Italian American who were instrumental in settling the city of Wickliffe back in the early 1900s. A lot of the Italians that came here from Campobasso and other cities, a lot of them built, the town was built on their backs. And they were the first club to open in the city of Wickliffe 90 years ago. And that will be June 3rd will be the date. So I am going to declare an Italian American Day in the city of Wickliffe beginning this year, continuing each year, and we'll light up City Hall green, white, and red in honor and tribute to them. Also to recognize their huge bocce cup challenge they have every year, which brings thousands of people into our city. And it's a great event. So I wanted to honor them by doing that. Next Monday is Memorial Day, and I would like to take this opportunity to welcome everyone to the Memorial Day events in Wickliffe. The parade will begin at the Premier Development property at 10 a.m. and travel west on Euclid to Bishop, where it will then head to City Hall. The American Legion will hold a ceremony on the front porch of City Hall to honor all those who have given their lives to protect our freedom. Right after the parade, we will again have food trucks at City Hall following the ceremony for our remembrance celebration. Please join us for all these activities. So on Friday, I was at the ribbon cutting for Cornerstone Foot Care, which is located on Euclid Avenue, and I did one of my Mayor's Corner interviews with them, and I just wanted to give congratulations for them bringing their business here. We're also accepting applications for the storefront renovation program. Building Commissioner Sackenow, I will be reviewing these after the deadline of June 30th. And I would like to congratulate all those who are graduating, whether it be kindergarten, high school, or college at any level. Best of luck to the class of 2023. That's all I have.
Any questions or comments from the mayor, safety director? Councilwoman Kosky.
I was just wondering, I was looking at the finance report. I was wondering, what have we spent money on for economic development? Do you know? Anybody? Because it looked like there was some money that was spent out of that account.
I would have to look into that and get back to you.
Okay, all right.
So we spent it on some renderings just the other day.
Okay,
Some of that was from carryover from last year also,
okay.
for bills from last year.
Oh.
Any
There
further
were
questions?
some development meetings that were pitching some ideas too. So.
Okay, all right. Thank you, I was just curious.
Any further questions or comments from the mayor, safety director? Thank you. Reports and communications from the director of law.
The only thing I have to report is that we've discussed with a few people that I will be on vacation from June 1st to June 12th. Sarah, who's our prosecutor, will be here for the meeting on the 12th. And then we've kind of discussed some of the other things that I'll take care of while we're. That's all I have.
Any questions or comments from the law director? Thank you. Communications from the council president. I have none. Amendments or additions to the agenda, Mayor?
Okay, so under new business, if we could put new business A, gambling.
We'll put gambling under new business A. Councilman Gerhardstein.
Can we put in the new business B, parking lot at Gindra?
The parking lot at Gindra under new business B. Any other additions or amendments to the agenda? Seeing none, I'll move on to the administrators. Police Chief Ice.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't have anything to add in my monthly report.
Any questions or comments from the police chief? Councilwoman Koski.
Chief, I was just wondering if there has been any other activity we should know about in any of the hotels?
We're constantly at the hotels. There's not a week that goes by where we're not making arrests at the hotels.
Is one any heavier, I don't know, traffic than the other, or are they similar because they're so close to the highway?
Well, most of our complaints are at the Fair Bridge and at the Green Bridge.
All right, and similar activities at both?
Yes.
All right.
Councilman Garrett, sorry.
Chief, we're going to be holding a meeting on June 5th for the nuisance ordinance for that. Is there a possibility to follow up with what Councilman Koski's asking? Is there a breakdown that you could give us of the type of crime and why we're going to try to work on that nuisance ordinance? Could you, by that 5th, can you give us just some examples? Not for, maybe the last 6 months. We don't need a big thing, or even the last 3 months. Just so we have an idea why we're working on that ordinance, please.
Sure. So, okay, I'll prepare something for like the last 6 months of all the hotels.
Okay.
All right, so I'll just give you numbers. Is that right?
Just basically, we're going to work on the nuisance ordinance for that, and it would be probably good for the committees to know exactly what your department is dealing with on that and why we're doing nuisance. Thank you.
Chief, I'm thinking more on lines like man hours that are spent, or hours spent, I shouldn't say man hours, but hours spent on going to those hotels. Like, is it 5 hours a week? Is it 10 hours a week? Is it, 80 hours a week?
I'm not sure I can quantify that exactly because
Well,
because of the activities that are at these hotels. When we're on patrol and we have some time, we spend our patrol spends time at these hotels because that's what they do. And they don't mark that down like they don't put on it in just parking lot for an hour. They don't do that.
You mean on the calls, right?
Yeah, I meant for the calls itself. Like, if you can give a guesstimate about how many hours. It doesn't have to be exact. I wouldn't say if they're for 45 minutes making an hour. I'm saying if you have, I don't know, what's an average call length and how many calls you go on. We can quantify that and say, okay, approximately you're spending this many hours, the police says, at this call. Maybe possibly even the fire chief, if you have any information on the calls you have to go on to those hotels as well, would be great. If you have any of that information. Any further questions or comments for the police chief? Councilman Jaworski.
I guess, Council President, my only concern is we're saying just hotels. If either the police chief or fire chief thinks that there's any other particular establishment that we should be aware of for that meeting, that similar information would be helpful as well. I don't know. I'll leave it up to either of you to, provide us with said information if it is another establishment, another type of establishment as well.
Okay.
That's a good point. Any other questions or comments for the police chief? Thank you, Chief. Fire Chief Powers.
Thank you, Council President. In addition to my previously submitted written report, I had 2 people out on long-term illnesses. One just reported back to her duty today. I'm hoping to get another one back in about 3 weeks. Our run volume is about staying constant. Last year was a record year. We're right neck and neck with those numbers right now. Hospital wait times still are there. It's not as consistent. We're waiting 1 to 2 hours, probably 2 to 3 times a week to drop a patient off at one of our local hospitals.
Councilwoman Koski.
Chief Powers, like comparing this year to last year, like how are like overdose kind of calls,
I think they're right
drug
there.
activity.
I think they're right there with the same as last year. It's
Are
kind of
they-
hard
are
for
they-
us to break that one out.
Are they like repeat, or are they?
There's some repeats, but honestly, I think there's more spread out. And they're in every neighborhood in the city.
So this isn't like a business Like, this isn't at the hotels, this is
Well,
throughout
there's some at the
the,
hotels, but there are
Throughout the
far
city.
more throughout the city too.
all right, that's unfortunate, thank you.
It is.
Any further questions or comments for the fire chief? Thank you, Chief. Finance Director Hunter.
Just state that April is closed and our general fund carryover balance is about 7.3 million.
Any questions or comments for the Finance Director? Thank you. Engineer Formica.
Thank you, Council President. A couple of things to add to my written report. First off, this Friday at noon, we'll be opening bids right here for the Wickliffe Road Improvements Project, Contract A for asphalt and Contract B for concrete improvements. And also on Friday, applications are due to the county for Ohio Public preliminary applications to the Ohio Public Works Commission for 2024 funding for projects. So Ron and I talked about it. We're going to try to get some grant money for the paving of Ridge Road and also to do a healthier or bigger slab replacement program for next year in 2024. So that's what we're shooting for. We'll be putting some applications in for that. We don't need council's action for the preliminary applications. If we make the cut, then we'll be coming to council for legislation.
Okay. Is there, for openness sake, what are the roads on the contract bid?
Contract A for the asphalt includes Dennis Drive and Stanford Drive, and contract B, the concrete repairs are Warden Road, Robert Extension, and
Weber.
Weber, right? Yeah. And then if we have some extra, we're hoping to jump over on the Rush Road and knock a couple more out on Rush Road. So.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for the city engineer? Councilman Gerhardstein.
Pete, I have a couple questions for you. So, we're aware that I had complaints on Sherbrooke. So,
Yes.
I went up there and looked at, that road has a visible hump
Correct.
at the end of that crown, at the end of the gentleman's driveway who has to complain about his car bottoming out when he pulls out. So, when you have to go back and do, like, when I was up there, I looked at it, he's got part of his driveway and part of his apron replaced to try to fix that problem. And obviously it's not, because he's still complaining that he bottoms his car out when he does that. So when we have to go up there and keep looking at that, who has to incur the costs of that?
I have billed my time for that to the percent fee of the last year's contract.
Well, who paid for the concrete in his driveway and his apron?
For the concrete work, for the actual work, that was the, that particular, for that apron, we paid the contractor to replace it.
When you say we,
The city.
so why is the city paying for a design? Obviously that has to be a design problem. That road, that is the only spot that is, and it's not fixed yet. You can see the crown in the road.
Yes, we tried to repair that by lowering his driveway, the sidewalk. I mean, I was out there physically with him with a 2x4 in his gutter. I had him pull his car out.
I understand that, but they're still not resolved. I mean, you can't, the gentleman cannot have the rest of his life of a 2x4 at the end of his driveway.
No.
And I don't understand why the city's incurring the cost when the city, we paid to engineer it, we paid to inspect it, and we paid to have it paved. Now, why are we paying again to fix one of those problems? I mean, there's another problem that the city shouldn't be responsible for. I mean, you can literally, he hasn't called anybody else, anybody can go up there and see the crown at the guy's end of his driveway.
Correct.
I'm not a contractor,
No, we lowered
you
the
visually
road
can
an
see
inch.
it.
We lowered the gutter 1 inch on that project in order to preserve, have a better curb reveal. It was the way to do the road properly. And that driveway being right next to an existing catch basin, it made it dip there somehow. I mean, I looked at the numbers. I tried to redo it when we redid the apron. I lowered it so that it wouldn't happen again. It wouldn't happen with the crown in the road. and somehow it's occurring again. I'm gonna have it reshot, or I'm gonna shoot it myself, to see if maybe the contractor didn't put it in correctly, or, you know, or lowered enough, or maybe there's another issue that we'll have to have resolved.
And then my second issue is, when we hire contractors in the city, what is the regulations? You know this is what this is about. When your contractors are told to stay off of certain properties, how many times should it have to tell them to stay?
Just once, sir.
Okay, so in the further thing, we all have customer resident complaints about contractors. Until you live one contractor through the city like that, you don't understand what the residents complain about until you go through it. Those contractors need to be explained that those residents and the owners, especially on private property, should be respected for if they ask them.
Absolutely.
All right.
They need to be. I agree.
Any further questions or comments for the city engineer? Thank you, Pete. Service Director Strasser.
Thank you, Council President. I have nothing to add to my previously submitted monthly report.
Any questions or comments for the Service Director? Councilwoman Koski.
Is the golf course clubhouse completed?
It is not completed yet. We had to switch gears for a little bit and get out of there. We still have some things to order, a few tables and some desk area and stuff like that. But the majority of it is completed. They're happy with it for the summer if that's the way that it stays. But I do plan on going back there. But we had to shift gears and get ready for Memorial Day pool openings and things like that, So.
Was the floor completed or?
Oh, the floor's completed, yeah.
Oh, is it? Okay, all right. Oh, that's good. I'll have to stop by.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councilman Bella.
Ron, when the pool gets going, if we have some type of problem or mechanical problem, do we have anything on backup, like, pumps or, equipment that's...
We do. We have
a few days,
especially since the pool is 25 years old now. I think this is his 23rd year, I believe. So, but it's with it getting that old, I have actually been increasing our stock with rebuild pumps and stuff like that. Actually, we saved ourselves at the end of last year. So far this year, between the end of last year and the beginning of this year, we're at $28,000 just for spare parts for pumps and things like that. But every year, that pool is getting more and more needy. Just because of the simple age of it. We had some blow-ups in the lazy river, in the concrete in the lazy river this year. So we repaired those, and we're going to actually paint the base of the lazy river. The main pool actually has a few issues that we're going to be working on and stuff like that. And actually, summertime help is getting harder and harder to find. So most of my guys have been doing a lot more of that work. Tim actually sent some people over from the golf course this week, so that's a plus. But we are behind on the pools too. So I mean, we are trying everything we can to do to get those pools open on time. So.
Any further questions or comments for the Service Director? Councilman Jaworski.
Ron Kimball, I'm seeing a lot of trash cans still out this evening. Are they falling behind already?
They were doing so good for the longest time. They've had probably 4 breakdowns in the city where the trucks have been broke down. There was actually one today. During the middle of the day, it broke down on Rockefeller Road. So, yes, unfortunately, it's just been mechanical failures they've had, but they have been coming back the next day. I don't think they've been missing anything the next day, at least. I believe everything that they've left out, they've picked up. But there was a few issues for sure in the last couple of weeks.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions or comments for the Service Director? Thank you. Building Commissioner Sack.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. I just have a few things to add. The demo on Euclid Avenue, the fence wasn't high enough. We put a stop on it this afternoon. They got the fence up to where it's supposed to be for tonight, and they got on Dr. Petty's side also. And they're in compliance now, so they can start back. Tomorrow at 1 o'clock, we have a walkthrough for occupancy on the new campus, so I'm excited about that. And that's all I have.
Any questions or comments for the Building Commissioner? Councilman Jaworski.
Ray, I appreciate the fact that we were able to issue a stop work order, because we need to start setting examples when there are extremely unsafe situations in the city where people could fall into a hole that, I don't know, when I looked in it last, was at least a good 8 to 12 feet deep in certain parts and kill themselves. And especially when it's that close to a sidewalk. So I just ask that you guys keep up on these contractors to make sure that they are not creating any unsafe conditions for any residents here in the city. Thank you.
Any further questions or comments for the building commissioner? Thank you. Recreation Director, stop.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. Just a couple comments. Pool passes go on sale Wednesday at the Aquatic Center. We're encouraging people to visit our website and they can set up their accounts to try to make the process go a little more smoothly. I'm going to sound like a broken record here. We are still looking for lifeguards. We do have a class scheduled for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, June 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, that when we're going to open up. Just give us a call and we can get you signed up for that. But we're still looking for lifeguards. We'll be able to get everything open. It just might be a matter of closing portions of facilities, but we will be able to get everything. That's it.
Any questions or comments for the Recreation Director? Councilwoman McCoskey.
My favorite subject, golf course.
It's doing well. I don't have a specific number in front of you where we are compared to last year. I'll have that for you next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions or comments for the Recreation Director? Thank you. I'll now open the floor for audience participation. If anyone would like to address Wickliffe City Council, please stand, state your name and address for the clerk's record. Since these meetings are being recorded, she has a microphone that can be used if needed. Each person will have a 5-minute maximum amount of time. Would anyone like to address Wickliffe City Council? Mr. Spisha.
Good evening, Mr. President.
Yeah.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the City Council and Mayor. I have a brief survey this evening, brief results of a survey this evening. I'm Joe Spisha, Superintendent of Wickliffe Schools. I'll go with 2221 Rockefeller Road. That's where I spend most of my time. The Wickliffe City School District commissioned a survey to look at how the community would like the elementary and middle school land to be developed after the demolition of the buildings. Fallon Research did the survey for us. The district used Fallon on 2 other occasions in the past for the 2014 levy, operating levy, and for the 2019 bond issue. They have a reputation for excellence, accuracy, and customer service. A scientific survey, just for the sake of everybody's information, is designed to project a statistical accuracy of about 95% based on the number of respondents included in the survey. Scientifically accurate surveys do not survey the entire community. They survey a portion of the community statistically designed for that 95% accuracy rate. If you were to survey the entire community, that would be called a census. And that's what the federal government does every 10 years. I'll give you some highlights, and I think some of these highlights should, if they don't, I'm sure they will make you proud. First, before we begin that, according to scientific survey results, any percentage greater than 50% is a majority. Any percentage greater than 60% is considered a compelling majority. And I say that, and I begin with this. 75% of the respondents are satisfied with the quality of life in Wickliffe. That is compelling. You should be proud about that. 12% are dissatisfied. I would say you'd be proud about that too. I don't think you can go anywhere and only find 12% of the people dissatisfied with the work you're doing. The remainder indicated a mix or they did not know. Correspondingly, with regard to the Wickliffe City School District, the respondents satisfied with the district among those are at 65%, 11% dissatisfied, with the remainder not knowing. And that's significant for the school district in that only about 30% of families in the school district actually have students in the school. When asked questions related to things like career tech education programming, the reimagination of education, educational experiences, and so forth, all responses were positive for the school district. As far as the construction project, 53% of respondents rated the management of the construction project as excellent or good, 19% fair, only 5% poor, and the remainder did not know. That would be about 23%. 77% of the respondents rated the fact that the community will benefit from having the new school campus. Again, quite a compelling number. Only, in that particular case, only 15% indicated there would not be a benefit. So again, 77% of the residents are in favor of the project as it is right now. Now, to the question of apartments, single-family homes, something that's been addressed at Planning Commission meetings and something that's of concern and question for the city. 60% of the respondents indicated they would prefer upscale, single-family homes built on the elementary school, middle school property. 9.5% indicated a preference for upscale apartments. 27% indicated no preference. With regard, and this was a question that came up at a Planning Commission meeting, with regard to the idea of did the community know about the potential for upscale housing and or upscale apartments during the bond campaign, the response there was 62% of respondents indicated that they had heard about the potential for upscale single-family homes, and 6% indicated they thought they had heard about upscale apartments. Again, about 27% of the respondents did not indicate any knowledge of either. Demographically, and this is rather compelling, demographically, the community was represented very in line with what actually the census of the community is. Excuse me, as far as race, age, children in the school district or not, and length of time living in Wickliffe. In fact, the majority of respondents had lived in the city of Wickliffe more than 20 years, which is indicative of this particular community. Happy to answer questions for you right now. This is the first part of a two-part process. The other process, still in process, is an evaluation of the value of that property and how it would best be used. Happy to answer questions, but thank you for giving us the time this evening.
Well, thank you for the information, Mr. Spezia. Councilman Jaworski.
Mr. Spezia, if you could, once you guys are ready to disseminate that, could that information please be made available to the Planning Commission as well?
We're happy to address the next Planning Commission meeting, whenever that may be, but yeah, absolutely, yes, sir.
We actually, I'll be bringing this up, we'll have a workshop on June 8th. On June 8th. We have a regular Planning Commission meeting scheduled, what is that, June 1, I believe. So a couple of options in this month.
Happy to attend with an invitation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you, Mr. Spezia. Joe,
Yeah, I just want to comment the one thing that he said, and me and Council President were at the meeting, and I got to just say to everybody here, 75% of the community is satisfied with the quality of life. That's a pretty big one, so that's for everything we're doing, so, and you guys, and everybody, so that was just a big one. When he was delivering the message to us, we didn't see it being, we didn't think it was going to be a great news, and it was great news, so I just wanted to express that.
Okay, thank you.
I'll just say, feel good about the work you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would anyone else like to address Wickliffe City Council? Anyone else like to address Wickliffe City Council? If not, I'll mark our participation closed. Reports. Councilman Gerstein.
Legislation and Welfare Committee met on May 15th, 2023. The meeting was called to order at 6 p.m. The purpose was to discuss the vacant building code, vacant building fees, and time limits in Chapter 1175. Members present, Bala, Hartstein, Koski, Soloto. Also present, Thielman and Sack. Vacant Building Code, Chapter 1175. Councilman Hartstein noted that the committee after the committee meeting on April 3rd, 2023, he met with the law director and the building commissioner on April 11th to discuss the committee's recommended changes to Chapter 1175, the vacant building property and registration. Gerhardstein stated that he had emailed the members a copy of the changes for them to go over. Councilman Bala inquired in case of a fire or damage to the building where the owner was having problems with their insurance company, would there be a way for them to get an extension? Commissioner Sack noted, yes, they could apply for an extension. The committee discussed the changes and had no issues. The committee recommends that the law director make the recommended changes to Chapter 1175. This item is reported out of committee. The meeting adjourned at 6:10. Respectfully submitted.
I'll make a motion to authorize the law director to make the recommended modifications to Chapter 1175.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Levon, seconded by Councilwoman Soloto, to authorize the law director to make the recommended modifications to Chapter 1175. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Ballin.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Koski.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Soloto. Yes. Thielman.
Yes.
Commissioner reports. Commissioner reports? Councilman Jaworski.
Planning Commission met on May 25th for a workshop on the MS Consultants Plan. There will be a meeting for the Planning Commission June 1, that is our regularly scheduled meeting. And then on June 8th at 7 p.m. we will hold another workshop for the MS report for the Euclid Avenue zoning, and Planning Commission will continue to meet in order to provide a recommendation to the Euclid Avenue Redevelopment Committee, hopefully no later than September.
Any other commission reports? Seeing no old business, we want new business. A, gambling, Mayor.
Okay, so I was addressed by a business owner who has been in this city 60 plus years, their business. His family is looking to put a high-end internet cafe. Now, they went to go to Wickliffe. Wickliffe has a limit how many they can have, and they're all booked up. They have 4 of them. So, but he stated he really didn't want to leave Wickliffe. He wants to do his business here, something 4,000 square feet. He notices we have an ordinance against game of chance. So that's kind of what I want to bring up. If we look at this in the committee of the whole, we have a lot of empty buildings. Why not fill them? I mean, this is something they could go down the street and do. We have the botanist here, we have alcohol here, we have vapes, pipe shops here, and we have Ohio Lottery where you can buy scratch-offs and game a chance. And I know that's the state. At every convenience store in the city, and there's a tax on that, that Wickliffe, gets for each machine that's put in there. But this would be, again, this is a business that's been here for a while, and they want to do everything top notch. And I told them I would talk to you guys, see if that's even something we consider, and why, we have buildings we need to fill.
I know that we considered this probably 10 years ago, and the council at that time said not to get involved in that. But just, we can have that conversation again with just different people on the council now. Councilwoman Koski.
Does he currently have a business like this in operation somewhere that we could?
So no, they don't. They do not. His business is not that's obviously in Wickliffe, but
well, I mean somewhere.
So
does he operate one somewhere?
No, they have a family member that has everything in Florida, and that they're going to bring it up here. But it's going to be similar to the way that they're ran in the other surrounding cities, whether it be in Wickliffe, but they're doing things more on a high end. Make it look a lot nicer and things like that.
Councilwoman Sloan.
Thanks. So does he have a location?
Yeah, so they have a couple locations. So that's the thing. I am going to let him know on the available businesses we have, but I don't want to waste his time either, So that's why the first step is, he's had a couple locations over on the east end of Euclid Avenue, but he also would like to know other locations that we have for lease or for sale in the city. But I don't want to get into all that with them if it's something that and again, 10 years ago, a lot's changed since that,
Councilman Gertstein.
Mayor, are you referencing like the internet cafe over there on Euclid Avenue on the north side in Wickliffe, similar to that?
So he doesn't want to be jammed in. He wants.
No, I'm understanding, but that's the type of business.
Yes.
So, I'm not opposed to that. I mean, if he comes to the committee of the whole meeting, would he be able to bring like a business plan on what he thought he would be able to do? And do you also know, does the city of Wickliffe, is there any way you could talk to the city of Wickliffe and see of how many problems that they do have that result from an internet?
Yes, I'm actually waiting for a meeting with them because I want to know exactly how they tax, because I think each machine gives a tax too, and I want to know how they generate there. But if there's any problems they have and issues like that.
From the city of Wickliffe, if they're having any constant problems with that type of business in their city. I know Wickliffe has.
Okay, and I don't know if Willoughby does or not. I know Willoughby Hills does, but yes, I will. And so that's the thing. I don't know if does. Is this something that goes in committee of the whole or?
Yeah, we can do that. Any other conversation on this topic at this point in time? If not, I'm gonna put internet cafe into the committee of the whole.
I don't know how you guys felt, so I just, yeah.
We can rediscuss it, Mayor. I just know that in the past, with people going to the Roxino and Jack and all other things, we didn't know if these businesses would open for a short term and then be closing. So when we talk to Wickliffe, let's see about the longevity of those buildings and those businesses as well.
Yeah,
Councilman Saloto.
I just do have a question, just because I'm not a big internet cafe kind of girl. But I'm just wondering, what do they have in them? I mean, how far do they go? I mean, is it like
So,
just machines? or-
Slot machines, right? And that's pretty much it. Slot machines, they have some food and things like that, but,
No cards, it's just slots.
yeah, just slot machines and, like you can win, as far as how much
I
they
mean,
pay
just
out.
like
I
line
mean,
the walls with slot machines?
Yeah, I mean, it's,
Craps tables?
no. Just slot machines, but again, you know, it's, they're all kinds gamble, right? It isn't just seedy, you know. My grandmother, God rest her soul, I mean, she like lived through going to that, but, so you know what I mean, but, right, I just look at the aspect of empty buildings, filling them, you know, with things that generate, but I know we wanna be careful what we have, but right now, we have how many vape stores, how many, you know, corner convenience stores, so.
Councilman Garrison?
Well, Mayor, I don't know if it's a part about filling vacant buildings, but you have, where you have, now you have sports betting going on all over the place, and you have the casino just downtown. I mean, I'm not opposed to the internet cafe for filling a building or not. I mean, I don't care if it's filling it. I just like to see if every other city is gonna do that. I mean, I'm not opposed to it doing it here. As long as it doesn't bring, as long as other cities doesn't say that the police chief says, we're just gonna open ourselves up to some more problems in another business. I don't wanna see that happen.
Right, absolutely, I agree with that, me as well.
Okay, then we'll put the internet cafe in the committee of the whole. New business B, parking lot at Gindra, Councilman Garrettstein.
So I noticed over the last month or so, getting complaints from the residents on Talmadge that certain times when the sporting events are going on, the parking lot on the west side of Ginder Park is overflowing and cars on the street to the part where some of the residents can't get out of their driveway. And I talked to the engineer from Mika, and he said originally in the plans, there was a parking lot at one time designed for that park. So I'd like to know if we could revisit that. I mean, when you go over there and walk, I do see little kids, and you always worry the way they have the traffic in the parking lot and then on the street about a child running out, you know, for safety. It's pretty narrow down there when they park a bus and stuff. So I'd like to know if we can entertain that into a committee, not for this year, but, you know, to get it on, maybe on the books for next year.
Sure. Mayor?
Where were the plans for it to go? By the pool?
On the southwest corner of the park, where the old ice skating rink was.
So the sand volleyball court's
Okay.
here, and here's the pool right here.
So all that grass area?
Yeah, the open grass area.
Yeah.
And was it a money
I've
thing?
got some preliminary sketches somewhere. I'll try to
Is this CT?
dig those up and.
Mr. Councilman. So you're talking on the side where the volleyball courts are at, or on the north side? The north side of the park? South side of the park on that side? Okay.
I honestly think that we had visions of soccer fields over there as well, smaller soccer field. I think originally was supposed to go in that area, but, or, you know, we just didn't do anything with it based on the size.
Yeah, it was,
We could put them wherever we need.
Wait, Councilman Dorsey?
it was that, and there was, at the time when this was talked about, a lack of funds as well to do such work.
Yeah, I mean, the Ginger should have been built inside out with the ball fields going inside out anyway, so.
100% agree.
That fell on deaf ears, so anyways, any other kind of questions or comments on the parking lot at Ginger? We'll put that in the committee of the whole as well. Ordinances.
Okay, first one, ordinance number 2023-26. This is on the second reading by title only, an ordinance enacting chapter 149.06, officer training, payment, and reimbursement of the codified ordinances of the city of Wickliffe, Ohio. Ordinance number 2023-27, this is the first reading by title only, an ordinance levying assessments for unpaid delinquent sewer amounts upon parcels of land in the city of Wickliffe, Ohio. Ordinance number 2023-28. This is also the first reading by title only, an ordinance amending chapter 1175 vacant property building registration of the codified ordinance of the city of Wickliffe, Ohio.
Resolutions.
Resolution number 2023-08 by title only, a resolution declaring June 3rd Italian American Day in the city of Wickliffe, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Suspension.
Second.
By Councilwoman Kowski, second by Councilman Garrett. Suspend the rules of council and place resolution 2023-08 on third and final reading. Discussion? Cindy, please call the roll.
Ballard.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Soloto.
Yes.
Seelman.
Yes.
Adoption.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerhardstein, second by Councilwoman Kowski to adopt resolution 2023-08 as presented. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Ballard.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Soloto.
Yes.
Seelman.
Yes.
All right, resolution number 2023-09. A resolution authorizing and directing the building commissioner of the city of Wickliffe, Ohio to apply for and accept financial assistance from the Lake County for year 23 Community Development Block Grant Program to improve the housing stock in the city of Wickliffe, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Suspension.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Saloto, seconded by Councilman Gerhardstein to suspend the rules of council and place resolution 2023-09 on third and final reading. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Ballard.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Soloto.
Yes.
Seelman.
Yes.
Adoption.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerhardstein, seconded by Councilman Ballard to adopt resolution 2023-09 as presented. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Ballard. Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Soloto.
Yes.
Seelman.
Yes.
Other legislation. Miscellaneous, I will call a Finance Committee meeting for June 5th at 7 p.m. to discuss the 2024 tax budget. Councilman Gerhardstein?
I'd like to call a meeting of the Legislation and Welfare Committee to discuss criminal activity and nuisance on businesses.
To follow that meeting.
To follow your finance meeting, please.
And I'll call a committee, the whole meeting to follow that night on June 5th to discuss Internet Cafe. Any other miscellaneous? If not, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
I make a motion, we adjourn?
Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerhardstein, seconded by Councilwoman Soloto to adjourn the meeting. Discussion? Sandy, please call the roll.
Ballard.
Yes.
Gerhardstein.
Yes.
Jaworski.
Yes.
Kowski.
Yes.
Levon.
Yes.
Soloto.
Yes.
Seelman.
Yes.
If for some